Something old, something new, something borrowed, something see-through? Hi and welcome to Last Watch. If you're new to the channel then please consider subscribing, like this video and hit the notifications button. I'd hate for you to miss out on any of my future content. Due to family and work commitments, July was a complete wipeout on the watch front, as I wasn't able to publish a single review. The good news is that I now have a backlog of watches to share with you over the next few weeks, starting with a striking piece that comes courtesy of Forge & Foster, a London-based brand founded in 2017 by self-declared entrepreneur Steve Allen. Steve's mission, like many other new brands, was to make a bold watch that could rival the Swiss but at affordable fashion watch prices. Yes, I know, we've heard it all before, but the formula seems to be working, as Forge & Foster are now an established brand that shipped to over 100 countries worldwide. I guess that makes them more than worthy of a review on the channel. This is the Titan X 41mm Centurion, a striking watch indeed, with a design that may be influenced by the likes of Hublot and Richard Mille. Sorry Steve, but it's the elephant in the room, so best to get it out there early. Whilst we're clearing the air, I should also point out that the Centurion has been sent to me free of charge, and it's mine to keep or do as I please with. I'm not being paid for this review or even on a kickback from sales, but under YouTube regulations I have to make it clear that this is a sponsored video. Now that the admin is out the way, it's time to look at the watch. The Titan X has a diameter of 41.1mm, although due to its tonneau case shape it may be more apt to call it its width. You can add a further 3.4mm to that watch width if you include the crown. Ignoring the contoured strap, it has a fairly wearable lug-to-lug of 48.1mm and a case thickness of only 11.7mm. A substantial lug width of 22mm. The integrated strap is considerably wider, starting at 28mm before tapering to 19.8mm. The weight of the Centurion on the quite meaty rubber strap is 121.5 grams. No pun intended, but the strap plays a large part in how this watch looks and wears. The all stainless steel tonneau case shape of the Centurion looks larger than its dimensions would suggest. It has a predominantly brushed finish both on its face and profile, with sandblasted reliefs that frame the dial and the central area of the mid-case. It does benefit from short stubby lugs, a very flat case back and a curvaceous face with an almost seamless, ever so slightly raised, curved sapphire crystal. A crystal, I might add, that seems bereft of any anti-reflective coating. The face of the watch has 4 polished screws, one at each corner of the case. The alignment of their slotted heads could be better. The relatively short lugs step out ever so slightly from the case, giving it some very masculine shoulders and hips, which are topped with a subtle chamfered polished edge, a sweet touch that could so easily have been ignored. The left mid-case profile has a Forge & Foster logo engraved between 2 grooved lines. I would happily live without the case naming, but its subtlety make it bearable. That same 2-line design frames the polished polite crown, which has been finished with an engraved Forge & Foster logo. Whichever angle you look at it, there's no disputing that this is a Forge & Foster watch. Below the sapphire crystal is the real star of today's show, a skeleton dial which I suspect is a variant of the Seagull ST-255-3 JK automatic movement. I'm normally not a fan of skeleton movements, as I think legibility can be a bit of an issue. I like to glance at my watch and know the time instantly. I'd be lying if I said reading the time on the Centurion was an easy matter. It's not, but there is something quite mesmerising about the Seagull movement. It's a work of art that Salvador Dali himself would be proud of. I'm going to jump ahead a little here, as I don't usually discuss the rear of the watch before I finish looking at the dial. The Centurion has a display case back. It's actually advertised as having a sapphire crystal front and back, a sapphire sandwich, to display the Seagull movement at its best. I can confirm a highly positive test for the sapphire crystal that covers the dial. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case for the crystal on the rear. Regardless of the crystals used, the result is a skeleton movement that you can't help but look at. The Titan X is a transparent watch that looks pretty decent from the front and even better from the rear. The finish of the Seagull movement may not be luxury level, but it's mind-blowing for a watch that will cost you less than £200. I'll get back to you on the price soon enough. The Seagull has a bidirectional rotor which hacks and hand winds, has 21 joules, beats at 21,600 ticks an hour or 6 ticks a second, and has a power reserve of around 41 hours. It's rated for accuracy between -15 to +30 seconds per day. This particular movement is running at +11 seconds per day. It may be a bit of a beauty, but its affordability can be clearly heard when you wind the crown or spin that rotor. It's not entirely beastly, but noticeable nonetheless. Back to the dial. The skeleton face has a black border frame, which is home to some white teeth-shaped hour markers, which are woefully small for this rather bold watch. These markers do have a splash of lume, but don't hold your breath. There are white indices for the remaining minutes and seconds. The border thickens somewhat at the 12 o'clock position and is home to a polished silver Forge & Foster logo, a mirror image of two Fs that could pass for a moth or a butterfly. That may be the intention. If I was cruel, I could mention its uncanny resemblance to the Emporio Armani logo. Oh, too late. Below this flight of fancy is a white printed Forge & Foster brand name. I did inquire about the brand name and was told that the Forge represents bold, well-made products and the Foster is for everyday wear, which, if I'm to be honest, was somewhat lost on me. The company wanted a British sounding name. To me, Forge & Foster sounds like a firm of solicitors or a 1980s TV detective show. I think Forge watches would have been a better choice. Let me know if they already exist. If not, I might register the name before Steve beats me to it. At the 6 o'clock position, we simply have the words automatic movement. The handset, like the hour markers, do not do this dial justice. They are seriously lacking when it comes to legibility. I suspect that they didn't want their design to detract from the dial. I did note that the noble versions of the Titan X, which has a gold toned case, has a gold handset. This contrast makes telling the time a much easier affair. The Titan handset, like the hour markers, are filled with lume. The best way to tell the time with a Centurion may be at night or in low light conditions. Best be quick though, as the lume isn't particularly bright or long lasting. The seconds hand is the thinnest stick I've encountered on a watch. It's almost invisible on the dial. However, with the benefit of macro, you can make out the brand logo on the counterbalance, another sweet touch that goes almost unnoticed. I've already mentioned the rear of the dial and its display case back, but it would be remiss of me not to mention the text around its perimeter. We have the Forge & Foster name, its construction of 316L stainless steel, and its water resistance to 5 atmospheres. This is where the Forge & Foster website slightly contradicts itself, as they suggest that this is a sports watch that you can swim with, but elsewhere they recommend that you do not swim with this watch. I would certainly err on the side of caution. They also proudly claim that this watch is designed in London, which I don't dispute for 1 minute, but the manufacturing of the Titan, as the Seagull caliber would suggest, takes place entirely in Shenzhen, China. I have absolutely no issue with this, as most Western brands, excusing the Swiss, have their watches in whole or in part manufactured in the Far East, something Forge & Foster are totally upfront about. The case back is held in place with 4 screws, which have clearly had less care and attention shown to them than the Seagull movement within, again pointing to the affordability of the watch. The strap on the Centurion is a fully vulcanized FKM rubber. It's a quality piece of material which should handle anything that you care to throw at it. As mentioned earlier, it's a meaty affair that has a perfect integrated fit between the watch lugs. Its solid contoured shape help it curve around your wrist, but it also acts as an extension to the length of the case, something that those of you with a smaller wrist than my fairly standard 7 inches should be aware of. The strap has a well proportioned brushed stainless steel tang and buckle adorned with a butterfly logo. The rear of the strap is also branded with both the logo and the brand name. The Titan X Centurion has a UK retail price of £222, but you can use a discount code which is clearly visible on the Forge & Foster website to grab yourself a 20% discount, bringing the price down to a little over £177, which is around $243 or €207. If you fancy picking up a Forge & Foster watch of any description, then I would definitely consider signing up to their emails to get info on their customer loyalty discounts and sales. There are some similar looking watches to the Centurion available from the Chinese market. But the benefit of buying from Forge & Foster is that your watch, depending on your location, will be shipped either from the UK or USA distribution centres. The watch comes in a fairly compact black sleeve and internal black box with free shipping, a 30 days return policy and a 2-year guarantee. Some peace of mind for those of you that prefer to stay away from AliExpress. The problem with Forge & Foster is that many will look at the branding and immediately discount them as just another fashion brand, which is a shame as the watches they offer are more than just a cheap quartz movement with a generic dial and case. The Centurion is not an entirely unique design, but as mentioned, it's a bold watch with a reputable movement at a reasonable price. Some of the finishing, especially on the screw heads, could be better, but to be honest, all your attention will be on that dial and the seagull movement. A movement that does somewhat steal the limelight from the handset. You'll need more than a quick glance to read the time with this beauty. The quality strap does add some girth and length to the watch, and due to its integrated design, finding a replacement may be troublesome, but not impossible. Being a bracelet fan, I would love to see this on some metal. The bulk of the watches I review on the channel are reissues and reinterpretations of icons from the 1950s, 60s, 70s, and if you include G-Shock, even the 1980s. The Titan X looks like a watch fit for the 21st century. At a time when many brands are taking their inspiration from the past, it's quite refreshing to see someone looking to the future. Let me know what you think of the Titan X. Is it a statement piece fit for your wrist, or do you prefer more clarity when it comes to telling the time? Feel free to share your thoughts on Forge & Foster, especially if you've had experience as a customer. I'll look forward to reading your comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.